Heyo, how's everybody doing? Excuse me. I just got off work about 15 minutes ago or so. Um, but I had a late lunch. So I thought I'd live stream. I didn't really know what else to do. I was a little bit tired. So the idea of coding something up, usually Wednesday and Thursdays are like the days of the week where I'm a little exhausted, like mentally. Friday I get my second win because it's usually an easier day. Monday, Tuesday, I feel pretty good because the week is starting. But Wednesday, Thursday, those are the hard days, the hump days. You get over the hump of the week. But Thursday is like the day where I can kind of feel my brain is dead. I kind of wanted to code something tonight. I just couldn't figure out what it is I want to do. How you doing, Bishop? But I'll figure it out eventually. Wow, is this exclusive? Just for you, Bay. Speaking of exclusive things, I created an account on Mentor Cruise. For those of you interested in getting some mentoring, and I haven't been promoting it, but looks like I might have two mentees rather, um, where I do some mentoring. We meet for 30 minutes a week and do like some career path and stuff like that. Right now it's $240 a month. We meet once a week for 30 minutes and then some messages back and forth. But that'll probably go up after. You can only charge a certain amount once you're getting started. So anyhow, I thought it was a pretty cool thing. I get messaged for a lot of these, and they're usually not very good, but this one kind of impressed me. I got to set up a few more things. Like you can even set it up, do code reviews and things like that. So it's like cool. Oh man. Um, but yeah. So it's been a good week, man. The I've been playing a lot of I for those of you who have been listening this last year or so, I've been talking a lot about trying to have hobbies outside of like screens. So I've been playing a lot of Beat Saber, which is exact opposite of that for like last week. I've been playing ping pong with my buddy, and I played Beat Saber the last 3-4 days, and I think right here, I don't know, I'm just not used to like swinging my arms something, but it hurts right here. I've been taking Tylenol all day. I don't know if I pulled something or what, man, but like, whoo, I'm feeling old. I am feeling old for sure. I'm start stretching again in the morning and at night. But yeah, not fun. But yeah, man. I just did the rough draft for a markdown course for Scrimba. They're supposed to give me some feedback pretty soon. Uh, I'm hoping to get that out to you pretty quickly and then see what's next. I think what I'm gonna add, maybe this will all do tonight. So I'm not gonna see the girlfriend tonight. I'll build in an accordion, and I'll add some of my courses to my personal website. Nothing too crazy. I don't know. So, why do so many developers hate writing tests? This is a fantastic question. Let me put a different song on real quick before I answer this. Okay, so couple of reasons. Three main reasons that come to mind. One, writing tests is a intermediate to advanced level skill. And you've heard me say this a lot of times, but 9 out of 10 developers repeat the first year every year. You know, you can have 10 years experience, but be at a skill level of a 1-year dev. And that may seem counterintuitive, but that's more common than not. So that's the first reason, because it's an intermediate to senior level skill. The second reason is as you go and you work on more advanced applications, larger production applications, it becomes there's an increased level of difficulty that goes along with it that, if not maintained, becomes exponential. So if you're not standardizing your mocks, if you're not mocking things, if you haven't decided on testing strategy, are you going to do functional based tests? Are you going to do end to end tests? Are you simply going to test you know, the logic and not the UI? There's a lot of things that can happen there, and a lot of it's very unclear. And when you get into testing the UI, things get much more difficult, much more difficult. So there's that aspect. And third and final reason is that testing, like anything that has long-term payoff, right? Like investing, it's very similar to investing, where you're investing a little bit of time today for a much greater return tomorrow and thereafter. However, we live in a society of YOLO. And so do most projects, except the project's YOLO is features. Features above everything else at any cost, including the technical debt, including features being harder to deliver later on, including, X, Y, and Z. And testing, in a lot of people's eyes, is the first thing that goes. But that's why. That's generally why. So you're encouraged to ignore the testing in the sense of having to come back to it. Yeah. And it's hard to stand up and protect the code. It's very hard, which is why I recommend everyone read the book, The Clean Coder, which there's a link in the description below, because it's one of the items that will help you with that. I can't resolve algorithms. Am I not good for coding? How to learn to set a mind of a program. Just because you can't solve algorithms today doesn't mean you can't solve them tomorrow. There's nothing wrong with getting stuck on stuff. I get stuck on algorithms and leak code problems all the time. It's not a big deal. It happens. You figure out a way for it not to happen, slowly but surely. So you just practice, man. But yeah, man, it's a sad thing because I'm all about testing. I'm all about it. But sometimes you can't. Sometimes time doesn't allow it. Sometimes you go into a project and the things that should have been established aren't. And that's just the reality, right? We don't live in a perfect world, neither do our code bases. The last project I worked at, I pulled down the code and at a previous employer, and it had 0 tests. Technically, it had 50 tests, but 4 of them failed. 4 of them passed, and it should have had a couple thousand. So I spent the next 18 months getting the application to a point where it was. And then before we got it to about 2,000, 2,500 tests, something like that, over 18 months, and it got up to about 75% test coverage, which is probably on the low end of where you want most of your applications. Like I'd say, 3/4 of your code is the low end of where, you'd want it to be. But you could go and get your application to about 90% plus is what I want to say. Do you test complicated forms? Everything should be tested. Do you think TypeScript is becoming or already is a requirement for JavaScript devs? I would say it's already there. And if you talk to most developers who've worked in TypeScript, actually worked in it, I would say most will tell you they'll never go back. Most JavaScript devs. The people who are anti-TypeScript at this point are people who haven't really been experienced to it or in their actual jobs. I've been using it for like 4 years. I've loved TypeScript every single time. When I've interviewed at places, the places that are still holding on to TypeScript, it's sort of a weird mentality thing. Like, I didn't have to do this. We don't need it. So on and so forth. So every project is unique at Amazon, which is one of its great strengths, actually, because you use what works best for you and your use case. But again, I don't speak for Amazon. Just a guy with a webcam, and definitely not a financial advisor. Yeah, man, that GameStop stuff is crazy. Yeah, I was chatting with a coworker of mine about React versus Angular. I love Angular, man. I think personally, and I'm diving more into React lately, but I've always liked Angular. I've always thought there was a little bit of a strong learning curve, but not much. And Angular, I think, is one of the proponent of TypeScript. Now I got started, and I think it's been fantastic. So, dude, where's the GameStop price of this time? $94. Whew. 5 days ago, it peaked at $469. Hey, YOLO life, man. What a massacre. But I mean, we all knew it was gonna happen. What is the goal with my YouTube channel? Really just to share my knowledge, have fun. I'd like to get my silver play button. That's probably the only major goal I have with YouTube. The truth of the matter is that the YouTube channel makes me very little in ad revenue, like $400 a month right now. But and the max I've ever made off pure ad revenue was like $1,400, I think. And I don't see it skyrocketing anytime soon. It's something I use nowadays just to sort of give back. I make money off of affiliate links and courses, and I make significantly more than that off all that, and I use the YouTube channel to promote it. But truly, it's just to share the things that I'm doing. That's it. I mean, I enjoy this. And that's changed over time. The thing I always said with my YouTube channel was that in order for it to stay fun, I was going to do with it what I wanted to do, whether it got views or didn't, whether people liked it or not. It was always about what it was I was going to do. I wasn't going on YouTube creating videos to go and make money necessarily, or to go and be a YouTuber. I was going to better myself and my career. And so it started out as a video portfolio, and it's essentially continued that, where I put the content out there that I want to put out that's relevant to me and that I think is cool. And like, not everyone's going to like it. And I think there's probably part of the reason I've been able to stick with it for so long is because of that, right? Because like God, we're going on 5 years now, 5 plus. Um, so you know, um, so tech rally, and by that same approach, I've been very successful in my career because about instead of worrying about what the YouTube audience is doing, which is very stressful, and like everyone in the world will tell you about like, oh, you don't want to work in corporate America, this and that. There's some truth to that, but there's also some truth that there's a like you have a very good life, man. You know, 401k, full benefits, PTO, good salaries, and it ain't all bad. um, so I mean, I'm pretty happy. How can you stand out from other junior devs applying for jobs? I think probably the best thing that you could do is to just have impressive projects and be familiar with be familiar with what's the word I'm looking for? Be familiar with higher level items like testing, solid principles, REST standards, that type of stuff. Looking good. Thanks, man. Yeah, I woke up with a headache for the first time in a while at like 4 a.m. It's so weird. I think I was just dehydrated. Being an employee is underrated now. Yeah, and I mean, listen, guys, I'll be the first person to tell you to have multiple income streams, right? Like, we were just talking a little bit about that, but that adds a level of comfort as well. Also, being a software engineer is different than being other employees. It's more stressful in certain aspects, without a doubt, but it also comes with a lot of great benefits that other professions aren't. So, like it is true that 70 or 80% of people hate their job. Like that's a true thing. But hopefully by 5 years into your career, you'll be working at a good company on a good team and have control over your life. And what you have to do is sometimes there's a couple things that you have to do to get to that point where you can enjoy a job. Or one, be financially able not to need the job, because at the end of the day, the only thing a job gives you is something that's financial, right? And depending on the job may give you purpose, but that's a whole separate conversation. But the reason I bring that up is the worst thing an employer can do to an employee, for the most part, is fire them. And if you're living paycheck to paycheck, that's a very scary thing. If you're not, it's less scary. It's still an unfortunate thing, but getting there is one thing. The other thing is it's up to us to find happiness and establish boundaries at our job. Don't assume that you're going to get them at the organization that you work at. There's personal responsibility in making sure you're happy at your work. And if that's beyond your capabilities, which it could be, I think not as much as people think, but if that's beyond your capabilities, you go find someone who's going to treat you right. So, you know, you don't want to have all your eggs in one basket, but it's not a bad basket when you have a good basket. Would you take a job as a coding instructor and they will have the lesson plan for you if it would just be basic HTML CSS as your first job, or deny the offer? I'd probably take it. Depending on, what, all things being equal. If it was in the field, it sounds like it is. If it's equivalent pay to what I can accept, yeah. I appreciate all your non-financial advice. Yeah, not financial advisor here. um, But yeah, man, one of the best things I did for my mental health and as an employee was not live paycheck to paycheck, 'cause that lowers my stress in general, you know? The next thing that lowers my stress is knowing that because things happen. You could be the world's best employee, but decisions are made and you're just, you're on the chopping block. It happens. It's happened to me. It's happened to me where I went to a job and they, decided they want to fund the project after 4 months. Gave us some severance. We went our separate ways. It happens. And sometimes it's beyond your control, but being set up so that, it's a road bump rather than a dagger in the heart is puts your, you know, puts yourself at ease. Do you feel pressure professionally keep learning new technologies? No, not really. Do you agree with the standard talking point of hiring managers saying that there is a shortage of developers? No. I think there's a shortage of senior developers, true senior developers. I think there's a surplus of junior developers. But yeah, I think generally there's a shortage of developers. Um, I think if people were more willing to hire junior developers, which is why it's so hard to get your first job, there wouldn't be a shortage of them or a surplus of them. How long did it take me to land my first job? About 8 months. Dropped down and started studying full time for about 8 months. Having a job that you actually like is one of the most important things in your life. Absolutely. 2,000 hours a year. Couldn't have said it better. 2,000 hours a year. This ain't your family, man. You can swap out. You can swap out jobs if you don't like it. I mean, skill factor. It's all in the devil's in the details, man. About transitioning to a coding instructor. If you're working in a non-tech field, okay. So like here, let me play this scenario. If you're working in a field that has absolutely no relation to what you're doing, it's much better. If you can financially afford to take it on, it's a good decision with those two things. But your goal should be to take it on, keep studying and applying while you're instructing. Hey, thanks, Ethan. 8 months? Yeah, man. I was working a 40-hour a week job. Just dropped out of school, and I had a motivation beyond belief. And I was spending about 3 to 4 hours a day on the weekdays, and about like 14 hours on a Saturday and 14 hours on Sunday. It was really, truly an unhealthy amount of studying. There was a couple mornings, a handful of mornings, where I'd be driving to work and my mind would be so zoned in on a problem that I'd be doing that I wanted to solve that I would miss my on ramp and I'd be 30 minutes late to work. I'm not kidding. Like I'd just be zoning out thinking about code. And you know, it's been happening a little bit and sleeping. I'd wake up sleeping and dreaming about code. Um, and it's starting to happen again recently. Um, I'm a little stressed out with work, not because my work's putting any pressure on me, but I'm used to being a high performer, and I'm not that because it's a new project and new technologies and things like that. So I wake up thinking about my job, which is something I don't like doing. That will pass with time. Um, that's just, you know, I know what I'm capable of, and I'm not living up to the expectations, and we'll get there. But Um, but yeah, so that's it. My boy Skill, I don't think you're hearing me. I think what I'm trying to tell you is that it's going to look better than something unrelated. Is it going to be as good as you being a developer? No, of course not. Is it going to be better than you delivering pizzas like I did? Sure. Absolutely. Like my first job when I was doing those 8 months, I worked at a software company doing technical writing and working as a project manager, not project manager, as a business analyst to a degree. And so I'd gather requirements and things like that. Did that put me in a position where it looked as good as somebody who worked as a junior engineer? No, not at all. Did it look better than me delivering pizzas? Yes, it looked much better. Did it introduce me to concepts that I probably wouldn't have been introduced to if I wasn't working in the same industry? Absolutely. Did it allow me to build a network for people in the field? Yes, it did. These are things that you can benefit from as well. So, am I excited about my eventual move to Seattle? Yeah, I think so. I don't know when it's happening yet. Things are still kind of up in the air, but I'm trying to pay my house off before I do it. I just threw 45 grand down on it. um, so it's I'd like to have a paid off rental property when I leave this state. So that'd be a sweet like icing on the cake. It's a paid off house, but when I like drop the mic. Peace, I'm out. Paid off house. I'll see y'all later, Florida. Um, but yeah, I'm excited, man. I mean, there's part of me that's like, it's very like, yeah, it's gonna be more expensive, and I don't know what's gonna happen. The moving's gonna be stressful with the dogs, and I have a girlfriend, and I got to figure out how that's all gonna work out. And like, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Um, but you know, it'll be cool, man. Especially because like the team that I'm on, I really like the people. All the engineers. It's been a while since I've been at an organization where like everyone actually is a enjoy software. You know what I mean? Where people are passionate and about it, and it's not just like they work on things here or there. They're up to date. They're check. They like it. It's a hobby, and that's cool. And so like people I've worked with, I think I'd enjoy working with them. So it'll be fun being part of a team again. um, but yeah. So am I planning on renting the house out? Yeah, I think so. Um, I my interest rate's fairly high. It's about 4.5%. Because I got the house before interest rates started dropping. Like literally, like 8 months after I bought the house, interest rates like halved. So I don't want to spend $9,000 to refinance a loan. So what I think I'm going to do, Florida 2 years ago was the number one immigrated to state in terms of total population increase. This last year was the number three. And I don't really see again, not a financial advisor, not telling you to buy property in Florida, but I don't see the real estate market just like being decimated in Florida. Um, and when I tried to rent it out last time, I had a renter within 2 weeks. So what I think that renting out would be a good idea. So um, you know, if I can have a paid off piece of property that increases in value and makes me, a decent amount of money. Last time I looked at getting it rented was about 6 months ago. I just and the guy said probably could get rent for my place between 2,000 and 2,100 at the time. So you know it's not a bad deal with it going up in value on top of it. So I think that's what I'm going to do. And I should say I think I'm going to do it. That is what I'm going to. Whether it'll be paid off by the end of this year or not is a separate thing. Um, Financially, it will be hard, but not impossible. Um, so should get an epic apartment when you move. I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do. If it's just me and the dog, so it's hard to get an apartment with two dogs. Like you guys have seen these things. She's 48 pounds. I weighed her the other day, and Gator's 72. Like they're not tiny dogs and they're high energy. So I think most likely I will be commuting. Um, so we'll see how it plays out though. But I don't want to buy another house until I'm engaged or married. I can tell you that much. Um, yeah, I don't want to get into a position where I then have to buy a third house because it's no longer, they're moving into my house and it's not our house, sort of thing, which is a real thing. Um, but yeah. What does that mean? I haven't had dinner yet. Do you struggle with time estimates at your first job? No, I didn't do any time estimates at my first job. Yeah. My home's gone up in value. Bought for 260. It's worth about 300. So, um, time estimates. Yeah, I struggle with time estimates. Nowadays I think I'm pretty good at it, but only you have to get up and running in code bases. I'd recommend React versus Flutter. You have more job options. Um, oh man. Yeah. But yeah, I think generally what I want to do, make my own coding programming language. Nah. What am I gonna make a programming language for? Is PHP the easiest language to work with? Come on, man, get that out of here. Can't stop, won't stop. Game stop. Oh man, can't stop, won't stop, GameStop. Dylan, I want to give up. What will I do? Why do you want to give up, man? Let's talk about that. Would you consider implementing a least recently used cache? A hard question. Um, I mean, if you're talking about backend, I couldn't tell you how to do it off the top of my head. More or less, I would just assume that there's some sort of query you would write that would have last updated, that would have some sort of date that you would then, you do your query and then you pull the oldest date. Pseudocode for it's easy. Even on the client side, I've just stored it as like a um uh you store it in, some JSON in local storage if you want. Parse it out and then just query, pull the date by the date, same thing. Why am I not opening my own web design agency? Because I'm fairly happy and I make good money. um, and the last thing I want to do is web design. The absolute last thing I want to do is have clients, small business clients. Small business clients are hard to work with, man. They want to know, they want you to do everything for pennies. What's your opinion of Dave Ramsey? I think Dave Ramsey gives some great advice for most people. I tend to like most Dave Ramsey's advice. I've read the Total Money Makeover. I've read this is the Everyday Millionaire and then Retired Inspired. Um, so I don't, with that and agreeing with most of his points, I don't necessarily um, I don't necessarily think that uh, that I don't necessarily think that you have to follow. You can agree with somebody and not follow all their tenets. Like for instance, I have a credit card. I have a cash back card that I get 2% cash back on everything. I just use that. I pay it off. I don't. Not once have I ever had any interest on it. I've had it for almost 2 years now. Um, but I generally think most people like his anti stance on credit cards. A great anti stance to have, just because I think most people are going to fall into that trap. That's the majority of people. Um, I also like his point about leverage. I don't like the idea of leverage. It stresses me out, and like, most people would say, "Hey, why are you paying off your house?" Like you could leverage that and go invest and make more money elsewhere. And they're not wrong. Financially, it's actually probably in the better sense. And my stance on it is that the lower stress level from lower risk is something I want. I like the ability to lower my cost of living as much as possible. And having your assets be completely paid off and start generating money in your life that aren't used for other assets is something that to pay down other assets that can just be a plus and non-negative, something I I like the idea of. So um you know when people think he's too much of a boomer mentality, what I would say to that is that there's some truth to it, but the the real truth to it is that most people have an opinion about finances and are bad with finances. And that if you are well enough educated and making good financial decisions, then you can pick and choose things from there. But until you are at a point where you're good with finances, you're in no place to pick and choose your financial financial stuff, and that you should probably just stick with something very basic as Dave Ramsey's baby steps. um, but I'm a fan of Dave Ramsey. I live in Florida right now, the bath salt capital of the world, baby. Am I from New York? No, I'm from California. Do I sound like I'm from New York? Was I talking with a lot of like swang and tang in my voice and I had no idea? I'll have to go back and listen to that. See if I have if I got into a New York accent. But yeah, man, I think his general advice of saving a rainy day fund and paying off all your debt is some of the best advice you could give. Am I gonna get some food? Yeah, probably soon. After this, I'll make a stack. I think I might go pick up a steak. I, you know, I could use a good steak. You know, my girlfriend doesn't eat red meat, so can't take her out to any steak dinner. So we go out to the restaurants that serve meat. I was just like, you know, I tried. You know, you try to be what's the word? You try to you know, be considerate. Um, Good steak though. Sounds good tonight. Best programming book I've ever read, hands down, is Clean Code. Second best is The Clean Coder. Have I tried Korean barbecue? Yeah, man. There's this place in Clearwater called Nine Spices. It's either Clearwater or Largo. And they have hot pot also. It's fantastic. Highly recommend it. I feel like when I get my first dev job, I won't know how to manage that large sum of money. So, Bishop, what I would tell you is not to increase your lifestyle. And don't buy a new car. Please, please do not go waste your money on a new car. You know, up until about a year ago, I still had my original car I had as a pizza delivery driver. And I would still have had it if, April and I didn't break up and I gave her the car. Even my new car that I bought, it was a 2015 that cost me, I think with tax, it was 15.5. And instead, I got a house. So, yeah, don't go lease a Tesla the first week. I still won't lease a Tesla. I've thought about it. I'm not gonna lie and tell you I haven't thought about it. I'd be like, yo, man, Tesla sounds nice. And it is. But like, go buy a house and have it pay for your Tesla. Just wait a little bit. First thing you do, pay off your debt. Second thing you do is save up a rainy day fund. Third thing you do is invest. Car can come in 10 years. Not financial advice. The only financial advice I'll give you is not to buy a new car or increase your lifestyle. That's my financial advice as not a financial advisor. Got a girlfriend? Yeah, we've been dating about 2 months now. She's trying to lock this down. No, she's great, man. So, she's real cool, man. She's over here playing Beat Saber. I snapped a thing and shared it on Instagram. She's embarrassed about it, but I was like, no, it's cool. Like, she's good, dude. She did better than I did when I started playing. Dude, I'm telling you, I love that Beat Saber, man. The Oculus Quest 2 for $300. Great $300. I've already spent like $100 on games. I'm a big fan. Big fan. When I say invest, should I invest in mutual funds or buy individual stocks? Not a financial advisor, yeah. So, Bishop, first thing that you should do is, most people might consider buying a house early on. I wouldn't. The reason for that is I want you to have the flexibility to jump jobs because that's how you're going to make the most money. That's just the way it is. Um, so that means you want to invest your money. Okay. If you don't know what to invest in, the S&P 500 ETF is a safe investment. Just put your money in it. It'll go up like 8% a year, and that'll be that. Now, if you put in individual stocks, it's going to have larger swings up and larger swings down. I wouldn't advise that. I've done that. Nothing wrong with that. But what I would advise is to put in something a little bit safer because 5 years down the road, you're going to want to cash that out and buy a house with it. So that's what I would advise. Again, not a financial advisor. But that's after you've paid off all your debt. No student loans, no car loan, no credit card debt. You're free and clear. And with that, then go and start saving. And, for your future. And one of the subscribers just sent me a message on LinkedIn saying they're coming to Amazon. The clan is growing. Start a new Slack channel. Be like Dylan Israel's subscriber job group. And the thing to remember, the thing that I want people to also remember when it comes to the money aspect of our jobs, there's no guarantee that next year you're going to make more money or the same amount of money. You might take a pay cut. Never know. Is it unlikely? Probably. I don't know. But do you want to do you want to stretch yourself so thin that if you had to take a 30% pay cut because the economy dipped, because you lost your job and had to take a job that paid less, that you'd be in such a position that you wouldn't be able to support yourself? I'd like to think not. So, don't stretch yourself that thin. Instead, take advantage of, your lottery ticket and use it for your future and for your family's future. So, Zath Cash, hey. What's it like working at Amazon? This is something I can talk about. I read this in the onboarding that they're happy to talk about what it's like working at Amazon. I would say it's been a unique experience because Amazon hasn't traditionally had a lot of remote workers. Because of the pandemic, they've started hiring people to work more and more remote. And so, that's been interesting as, you're meeting people who have also only worked remote, and you're meeting people who have transitioned to remote, who are normally used to being in the office. I'm actually really looking forward to being in the office one day to just see it and see what it's like. And then I'll get bored of it like anything else, but it'll be fun. You know, am I gonna be fully remote? No, probably not. My favorite restaurants in Tampa Bay. Let's see. So, Rodizio, Brazilian steakhouse. That's fantastic. Nine Spices I mentioned earlier, which is the Korean barbecue and hot pot. My favorite sushi place is called Sticky Rice. It's a small place in Riverview. My favorite breakfast place is called. Why am I forgetting the name of this? Ugh, I told you. What is that? Oh my god! I just text my buddy Nick about this place. I'm going there on Saturday. I'm taking the girlfriend. I'm gonna go see his condo. Mm, what was it called? Uh, Lenny's. Lenny's like diner or something like that. Yeah, man. But other than that, that's probably it. Oh, you know what? Shit, I wonder. They're open. Oh, they're close. Ugh. There's the butcher in Apollo Beach. That's really good. Oh, they're close. I think I'd order some meats. Any plans for the summer? A couple. I don't know if I'll be able to do all of them. But I would like to. I'd like to take the girlfriend to California with me. Once my parents get the vaccine and we're able to get it, but definitely once my parents get it. They've all got it. I think they have to get their second shot still, but they recently got it. But I like to go home. I've had to cancel 2 trips home. Um, besides that, just a little bit of traveling. I've wanted to go to Denver for a while, maybe Vegas. That's it really. Nothing too crazy. Have I explained to the senior devs that they're wrong using React or Redux? Listen, man, it was up to me. We'd be using Angular. I like me some Angular. Angular gets a bad rap because it has a harder. You know, Angular gets a bad rap because it's opinionated. It forced TypeScript on people. It caused Angular 1 to Angular 2 was just a pain because it wasn't compatible. There's a lot of reasons that that people the adoption of Angular 2 plus was a rough transition. But I think that, along with the fact that I think React is easier to pick up, even though I think Angular is better, is lends to its popularity. That's just me. That's just me. I love me some Angular though, man. I really do. All right, guys. I'm getting hungry. It's about time for me to go. I appreciate y'all. Have a good week. Happy Hump Day. If you're interested in my courses, link in the description below. Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. See you guys next time. Bye.